Okay. I've seen a lot of like skits and TikToks and things on social media, especially like Facebook and Instagram, things like that, where you've got somebody who walks into a bar or into a hair salon. It's usually a girl. In fact, it's always a girl. Always a girl or a young woman. And she asks for an angel shot, or she asks to have she always asks for an angel shot. Or if she's in this hair salon, she asks to have an angel cut. Now, this concept of an angel shot means that she's asking for help. What I find absolutely fascinating about this is that every single time you watch these, it's a woman who's being victimised, she's being abused, or she's being bullied, or she's in serious trouble. Somebody is attacking her, or somebody is abusing her, and it's always a man. Absolutely always a man. You've got a female victim, a male abuser, or a male aggressor. Always that dynamic. And it kind of pisses me off. I have never been very good at the whole technology shit, and I don't know how to adapt videos so that I can move things around to show you all this shit, but I'm pretty sure most of you have come across them. Yeah, they're everywhere, and if I've seen them, I'm pretty sure most people have. I'm rubbish at that kind of stuff. Yeah, I know the basics, turn it on, log in kind of shit. But what I find fascinating is that they never gender reverse it. They never make it so that the man is in trouble because there is a woman abuser or a woman aggressor, and the man needs help, and the man is asking a bartender for an angel shot, or the man has gone to his hairstylist and asked for an angel cut because he is being abused or he is being bullied by a woman. And as much as I've commented or tried to message them or commented saying, please gender reverse this, please show the other way around, please show these the other way around, please gender reverse these, show the men being victims of women. I've yet to see it. I don't know if it's happened and I've just not seen it. Which is possible because I don't know what I'm looking for or how to find all this stuff because I'm just not very good at stuff like that. But we live in the 21st century. It's 2022. And if that Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial has taught this world anything at all, it should be women are abusers and men are victims of female abuse. That is what that has proved to the entire world. And what it should be happening right now is that we should be making this world a safer place for male victims to come forward. It's always been a safe place for women to come forward because we allow it. It's out there. And putting on skits for women about angel shots and rah, 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 rah. Yeah, okay, fine. Go with it. Carry on, But gender reverse it. Normalise male victims of abuse. Normalise male victims of female aggressors. Normalise male victims, full stop. Because male victims are also, funnily enough, victims of male aggressors and male abusers. Not just female abusers, but male abusers too. Just like women are victims of female abusers. You know, we don't just, there's this concept that if you're a woman, you can only be abused by a man. And if you're a man, you can't ever be abused. It's one of the most ridiculous and stupid rules of society that I've ever seen and ever known. Women abuse women. Mothers abuse their children. And they can abuse their children physically, mentally, emotionally, and sexually. Odd concept. And nobody wants us to talk about it. Nobody says anything about it. But it's true. They do. They also can sexually abuse their sons and their daughters. That's a strange concept, because it doesn't matter if you're a girl or a boy. You can be a victim of sexual abuse. And an even weirder concept. Men can be victims of sexual abuse by other men. Wrap your head around that one for a minute. You know, abuse has no gender. Abuse is an issue, a societal issue, a legal issue as well. But in the 21st century and in 2022 and going forward, we should be normalising victims of both genders. We should be normalising all victims so that it is safe, regardless of gender, regardless of whether they have been abused by men or women, and regardless of whether the victim is male or female. It should not matter. You should be safe. You should feel safe going forward. This trial that's just happened should be the first stepping stone to the future of all domestic violence and all societal abuse. Because it is. Abuse is a societal issue. And it's a weird concept. It is a weird concept, you know, because it is, that's what it is. Domestic abuse, all abuse, sexual crimes, and sexual crimes like rape and, you know, sexual assaults of any kind. It is a societal issue. It is something that we deal with in society. People are either ashamed of their abuse and try to hide it from other people, or they try to get away from it. So they talk to people so that they can find an escape. Or they do both. They have a set of people that they can talk to, and they hide it from everyone else, which is usually the case. They usually have one person that they talk to, you know, and everybody else they try to hide it from, you know, because they don't want the world to see them as a victim. They feel shame for themselves. They feel so embarrassed. They feel like it's their fault. They're taught to feel like it's their fault. You know, and when you are taught by your abusers that it's all your fault, you believe it. You know, it's your shame. And you feel that. So you hide it, and you hide it from everybody. But there's usually one person, as a rule. Not everybody does it, but most people, I said most, not all, have one person that they trust enough to be able to talk to about most of it. Not all of it, but some of it. And it's usually that person that helps them find the courage and the strength to leave their abusers. You know. But it's not easy when you're a man and you're going through that. It's harder for a man to go through that because society has taught him that it's wrong for a man to be abused, therefore he can't possibly ever be abused because he's a man and he's stronger than women. The problem is, right from a young age, boys are taught never to hit women. So you've grown up into a decent human being and you don't hit them, but that woman is vile and abusive and she hits you and you're not going to hit her back. What then? It's not that she's physically stronger than you. It's just that you're a better person than her. You know, because society doesn't teach women, they don't teach little girls not to hit boys. But we should. Mothers and fathers should be teaching their daughters it's wrong to hit boys. We should, as parents, be teaching our sons and our daughters that hitting people is wrong, regardless of gender. Violence is wrong, and it doesn't matter whether you're male or female. And they should also be teaching our children that if they hit you, that if they purposely go out of their way to beat the living daylights out of you, you have the right to defend yourself. The problem is, society doesn't accept that. If a woman beats the living daylights out of a man and a man decides to defend himself against her, the second he lays a hand on her, he's the abuser and she's defending herself. It's society's issue. Not a legal one, a societal one. Because that's what we're taught. And then he has to prove through a court that it was the other way round. And that could take, God knows how much time that could take. You know, Johnny Depp, millions, has the ability to prove himself in a court of law before he was believed. You know, not everybody has the resources to be able to prove themselves innocent. You know, society needs to change. The laws need to change. The rules need to change. We need to start moving forward. And we need to find... We need to stop treating abuse and aggression as a male issue. And that victims have to be female. It's time, if we want our children to grow up into a better world, we need to stop fighting this toxic, feminine, idiotic agenda of men are evil, women are whatever. It's bollocks. It's all bollocks. We are equal in this world. And men men deserve the same protections as women. And it's time we started fighting for that. It's time we stood with the men, that we as women started working together with men to give them the protections and the safety that we as women hold. So that when they are in danger and they are in a position where they are victims, they can do something about it freely. That when they come forward and say, I'm a victim, I'm being abused by a woman, they're not laughed at, they're not shooed, they're not passed over, they're not ignored. They're actually listened to. Not just by the law, but by their peers, by their families, and by everybody else. It's time we stopped treating them like they're men, therefore they can handle it and there's no way they can ever be abused. It's bollocks, we know it. It's time we treated them with the same respect that we treat women, and held them at the same regard as we hold women, and actually believed them when they cry and they declared that they're victims and they're hurting and they need our help. And when a woman tries to deny that she's an abuser, when he sits there and says she's abusing me, when she denies it, fucking tell her to piss off. Believe him. When he sits there and says he's being abused by a woman, believe him. It's time to believe that women are abusers too. It's time to believe that women are aggressors. It's time to believe that women aren't just this perfect whatever and just victims of men. We're not. We have got to stop treating them like they're just a commodity that we can just brush over. They're human beings. And it's time to help them. Give them the power to stand up. Give them the power to be believed. Give them the power that women have. Men are victims. Women are victims. Men are abusers. Women are abusers. Men are aggressive. So are women. Men rape. Women rape. It's not a gender issue. It happens by both, to both. The problem is we ignore half the issue because half the issue belongs to men and we don't like it. So we pretend it's not real. And we only listen to the women's half of the issue. When women stand up and say, I'm a victim, I was this, I was that, boo hoo hoo, they believe us and men get in trouble. If a man stands up and says any of this, no one believes him. They're told to man up and get over it and stop being silly. That's got to stop. Men need to be heard. Men need to be believed. 2022. In fact, we're over halfway through 2022. When you have sons, what do you want for them? You know, I have a son. The one thing I want for him is to grow up into a world where he will be heard. My son has special needs. I don't want him growing up into a world where he will be ridiculed and treated like he's nobody if something happens to him. I want him to grow up into a world where he is heard, he is believed, he will be looked after, and you know what? That no matter what comes his way, he won't be laughed at. He won't be treated like his issues don't matter. And that he's a nobody just because he's male. My nieces, they're going to have it really easy. They're going to grow up, and it doesn't matter what happens to them. They're going to be given everything. They have mental health problems, they're going to be thrown at them. They have the issues, they'll get all the help in the world. And I want that for my son. I want that for my son. I want him to get all the help he needs when he has mental health issues, or when his mental health issues get to a point where he needs somebody to help him. I don't want him to be sitting on a waiting list for 6 years because he's male and they don't think he deserves the help because there's a female that needs it more. It shouldn't work like that. Women should not have preference just because they're women. What do you want for your sons? This is what comes down to it. What matters to you most? For your daughters to have everything thrown at them just because they're women, or your sons to be ignored and treated like second-rate citizens just because they happen to be male? Choice is yours. But to be frank, if you really want your sons growing up in a world where they're second rate and nothing, where their voice doesn't count, where their feelings don't matter, where their emotional state and their problems are laughed at, ignore it. Pretend it doesn't matter to you. Or start changing. Start changing the way you treat men. Start changing the way you treat women who stand up for men. We're not just pick-me's, and we're not just, oh yeah, I stand up for men doesn't mean I'm a pick-me. I stand up for men because it's right. I stand up for men because my son deserves that. I stand up for men because my nephew deserves that. They deserve a better world. They deserve a world where they are equal. Not just with jobs and pay and shit like that. They deserve the right to have emotions and feelings. They deserve the right to need help mentally. They deserve the right to have problems that are not ignored, laughed at, treated with disdain. They deserve the right to have everything that we women take for granted. And that's what it comes down to in the end. That's what I want for my son. That's what I want for my nephew. And that's what I want for all men. And for the next generations of men. To have everything we have. Because they deserve it. Just as much as we do. Because their issues are our issues. They deal with just as much shit as we deal with. And their feelings matter just as much as ours do. And violence isn't tolerated by anyone, regardless of regardless of gender. Nobody has the right to hit anybody. And I don't give a shit if you're a 5 foot fucking midget of a... I don't care if you're a 5 foot fucking woman hitting a 7 foot fucking male. Or if you're a fucking 6 foot man hitting a 6 foot woman. I don't care. Nobody has the right to hit anybody. Nobody has the right to be aggressive towards anybody else. And everybody should feel safe enough to stand up and tell the world that they are being harassed, hurt, abused, treated like dirt, sexually abused. It doesn't matter what is going on in your life. If you do not feel safe, there's a problem here. My son is not going to grow up into that. Not if I have anything to do with that. He's going to grow up into a world where he will be heard. He will be safe. He will be capable of telling the world when he's in trouble. And he will be believed. Because that is the world I want to create. I just hope there's enough out there that want that too.